And good morning, and I'd like to welcome you to our session on Adobe Spark Video today. We're going to take a little over an hour today, and we're going to go through some of the aspects and components of Adobe Spark, what it will do, where it can be used at. I will be going through the example of where we can use it on a PC and where we can use it on an Apple device. I'll be connecting my iPad up and you'll be able to see live what we're doing. We'll do a few little examples and things. So let's get started. When we're talking about sharing program impacts, we do those different ways. We all get to use Super, and that is our main mode for those impacts. Again, we're putting in our delivery information, those program impacts, things, the civil rights even. That's all part of our impacts of our reporting of what we do. We all get to do some written reports. Probably not the greatest thing in the world that we like to do, but again, sharing information about what we're doing, being able to tell our story. As professionals and extension agents, we get to do PowerPoint presentations a lot. That's sort of our bread and butter, but we don't want to come in and look at this that we can only rely on a PowerPoint. We can't talk without having that PowerPoint behind us. Useful and helpful tool, but it's not the only thing out there. We also build and develop exhibits all the time. Exhibits to go into the courthouse, exhibits to go at the health department, different things that we're doing to explain our story, explain our program. And then in the last few years, we've been coming in and we've been looking at the use of social media. Social media is really a dominant form of communication that we have today. It's changing the way that we do business. It's changing the way that the world does business. So my first question to you today, has anyone used video to try to tell any of their program impact stories? You can unmute your microphone or you can put something in the chat box. Either way. I know that we have some of our agents, Megan Brown has done a Facebook Live program where they were doing a recipe demonstration. And it was really neat, very different way to go about doing something and being able to reach people. So don't have anybody there. Let's go on to our next slide and let's talk about attention spans. I have gotten some comments about this, and from research, the average attention span of a goldfish is about 9 seconds, but people generally lose concentration after only 8 seconds. So that's telling us a goldfish has a longer attention span than we do. That's sort of scary. And our society has changed. It's a lot faster. Everything's moving at a rapid rate. Look at local television, look at commercials, look at the national news. How do they project and put their information out on the screen for us to view? It's really rapid. It's fast paced. It doesn't dwell on things. It's not just one single shot. It's a lot of motion and action that goes in with that. Well, that's what we're competing against, and that's what the world is looking at. So if we come in and we think about Adobe Spark, if we can come in and create these short videos that help tell our story and our impact, and it keeps the attention of the audience. Being able to do that is also going to capture the attention of the audience that we were working with, and then we can direct them to the more in-depth information. How can we come in and we can catch their attention, draw them in, and then we can really give them all these educational programs and things that we have to offer. So it's not uh, dumping everything at one time, but just to grab their attention. And that's what the news is doing. So let's talk about, well, what is Adobe Spark? Well, it's a free online and mobile graphic design application. It is available for Apple devices, whether you have an iPhone like I have, or you have an iPad. I've got both I'll be using today. It works with both of those. It will also work on your desktop or laptop PC or Mac. So it's web-based. Now, if you have an Android device, there is not a native app that will work with it as of yet. We understand that this is coming out. Adobe Spark was actually introduced in the fall of 2016. So a little over a year that it's been out. They have said that they're coming out with this Android version. It's coming soon, but we've not seen it. I will show you a workaround if you do have an Android device, how we can get around that. It's not as simple as using it on the native Apple devices, but we can get you the same results at the end. If you want to go out on the web and look and say, well, where is Spark? If you go to spark.adobe.com, you'll see that right there on the slide. Easy to get to. And I'll just highlight that for you. That'll take you to a web-based version of it. Real easy to use, and it's very, very similar to the Apple version of doing it, and we're going to look and compare it both ways of doing that. One of the big things about Adobe Spark is that it allows you to create those short videos, and it will take still images and it sort of puts those in motion. So it's making the video of that. You can also insert video clips into Adobe Spark. Now there's a limit to that. We'll look at it. We can add text on top of some photos or just have text on the slide. And one of the last things, we can add royalty-free music. And we need to be real careful about that. Just going out and downloading the greatest and best song that you think's on the radio right now and putting that on there, you're going to get into some trouble if you post this on the social media outlet. You post it on Facebook, Facebook's going to send you a note. YouTube sends you a note and say, you can't do this and we're taking it down. So we need to be aware of that, but Spark has a lot of this built in for us. Now, with Adobe Spark, it has divided it into 3 different components. And on the Apple version of it, there's 3 different apps. So there's the video app, that's what we're talking about. There's a Pages, and there's a Post. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Post or the Pages, but feel free to explore those. When you go on the web and you start to create a new project, it'll ask you which of the 3 that you're going to create. So again, we're looking at just the video component of it today, but it's really nice about what it will do and how it works. It's easy. We were doing this, and I had the opportunity to work with this through a grant and working with farmers and agribusiness, agritainment type producers that we have in Tennessee. And it was amazing how quick they were able to pick this up and to use it. And I'll talk more about some of those discussions that we had with them as we go through today. Let's change that slide. To show you what, just as a real preview of it, I have on the screen, on the left side of the screen, it's showing you the iPad view of the app for the Adobe Spark video. And on the right-hand side of the screen, it's the web browser view. Again, they're both extremely similar, look just about the same. But again, you can do it either way. So if you do have an Apple device, that's one way to do it. Or if you start and you want to finish it on the PC, hey, that works too. So again, it's very flexible. Now, this is an important place that you really need to pay some attention to. I, this will help you quite a bit. When you go and use Adobe Spark, you have to log in. Now, you can log in with your Facebook credentials, you can log in with your Google credentials, or you can come in and you can create and use an Adobe ID. Well, what I want to stress to you here is that as a UT staff member, if you are paid by the University of Tennessee, you can come in and you can log in to Adobe. Excuse me there. You want to log in to Adobe a little bit different way. And we want to come in and use our university credentials to do that. Um, Adobe Spark is free. They have done a little changing to it. There is a totally free version. There's also a more enhanced version. It doesn't brand the video that this was created with Adobe Spark. You're going to get that if you log in and only use the free version. If you log in with your UT credentials, it gives you the enhanced version of the Adobe Spark, and you're not paying anything else out of pocket. So when you go to log in, you want to say, I already have an Adobe ID, or I need to log in. And where it asks for your email address, you want to put at Tennessee, spell out the word Tennessee.edu, and just press enter. And that will take you to the UT logon page, where we log on with your NetID and NetID password all the time. I'll show you an example of that when we go into it, but please make sure that you log in doing that. That's going to give you those enhancements and things that you really want. So remember the login, don't use your Facebook login, don't use your Google credentials or create an ID. You already have an Adobe ID. And the Adobe IDs are all tied to our at tennessee.edu. They're not tied to utk.edu. And that's where part of our problem comes in at. So, what I would like to show you next are a couple of videos. I can't play them through the PowerPoint, but what I'm going to do is come in and I'm going to minimize my PowerPoint and I'm going to open up the first of the videos. The sound may or may not translate exactly through. Don't worry about that. It'll be okay. We will, you don't want to see that. Let me stop the share and then we'll redo it. Don't worry about that. These videos you can play on your own, real easy to do. I'll show you especially where the tutorial one is because it goes really, really fast. But the first one is looking at giving us some ideas about Adobe Spark and maybe how we can use it. So sit back and enjoy and let's listen to the video. Okay, stop that. Uh, just an overall introduction to Adobe Spark. Now, you saw there that it's not, this was not the extension version of it by any shape, form, or fashion. This is very generic, but you saw this being used in an educational setting with schools. You saw this being used with small businesses. A couple of things that came out to me as I've listened to this is that they're making stories come to life. Isn't that what we really do? Trying to make things come to life. We're trying to relate to people. Our tagline for the Institute are real life solutions. Isn't that what they're talking about in Spark? They talked about supporting their mission. What are we doing? And being able to tell their story, the story of their business, the story of their school, in our case, the story of our educational programs and how we can help and what impact that we can have on individuals' lives as citizens of the state of Tennessee. You know, it's a very, it's telling it in a different way. Now I'm going to come in and I have a second video to show you. When I click on it, it's going to, let me just reset that. And I'll do a screen share again. And this tutorial video for Adobe Spark, it's basically on your device available on demand, either by the web or one of the iOS apps. You can do either one of it. This is a little bit shorter. Again, both of these not very long at all. Okay, we've got that up there. So you've got a very fast-paced look at some of the things that we can do within Adobe Spark. Let me swap back up and we'll get to the PowerPoint slide. Have that for you to look at. And start to screen share. Okay. Now, I want to go through and look at the individual parts of what you would see in Adobe Spark. Now, I'm taking all of this as screenshots from my iPad. So I'm going to look at it from that standpoint first, and then we'll move over to the live version on the web, and I'll do it via a web face version of it. And you can just see the differences. They are extremely similar. It's basically just where a few things are laid out. Now, if you do want to use this on your iPhone, realize that your screen is going to be smaller than the iPad. Again, the reason I like the iPad is I have that, there's more room on the screen to see and do some things. But again, either of those mobile devices are going to work out fine for you. The first thing that I want to come in after you log in, and I'll go through the login process just a little bit later, is when you come in and you look at this, you're going to be able to see, okay, here's my start screen. And with that start screen, there's going to be three buttons that you'll see down at the bottom of the screen. The first of that is going to be this inspiration, and that's going to give you some examples of what you can come and view and do within Adobe Spark. They're just pre-made videos. And the idea is to give you inspiration and some ideas. The second item that you're going to look at is this area on the right-hand side that's called My Videos. All the videos that you create, and because you're logging into Adobe Spark under an account, all of those videos are going to be there. In the training session that we did last year for our agri-tainment producers, we had a iPad lab that we're able to use from the Institute, and we came in and I logged into the lab using my Adobe credentials for everybody. You know, that was just a whole lot easier to deal with. Well, one of the things that I didn't realize I was going to get at the end is that I got a copy of all the videos that people were playing around with. So you'll see that as I log into my screen a little bit later on this morning. But it is a way that you can keep all that together. I'll share a couple other things how that could also be very useful. The last thing, and probably the biggest thing on this screen, is looking at the bottom center of the screen. You've got a red circle that has a plus sign in it, and that's where we tap on it to create a new project. So that will typically be your starting point for all of your new projects that you come up with. After that, you're coming to a screen and it's going to say, well, give this story that you're creating a title. Okay, and you can write the title and it will take you step by step by step through the whole process. What I'm going to do is say, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to click on the skip this, either tap that or click on it, depending on if you're using a mobile device or your computer. It's then going to come up and say, if you have that start from scratch again, it's got those example ideas, and you can scroll through those and you can look at that and play it. Again, that's up to you. It gives you some ideas and then you can swap things out on it. But I typically would say, let's just start from scratch. I think that's going to be a lot easier and cleaner, especially for what we're doing within Extension. Now we start to come up with the nuts and the bolts of Adobe Spark. And this is the screen that you're going to get. It's really, you're ready to create that video. Go right to it. Let me call your attention. If you look at the top of the screen, I have circled that in red. And get that pointer up there. You can come in and you're going to have three things that you can click on. Those are going to be your layout, your themes, and your music. And we'll look at each one of those. We'll start with the layout. That's the screen that we're at right now. If you look at the bottom of the actual slide, the black area that you're going to see here, there's going to be a red microphone button. And what we want to do is with it, here we go. My drawing tool just doesn't want to cooperate with me at the moment. There we go. If we click on that red microphone button, that's going to allow you to record voiceover information. That's your text or somebody's voice coming over talking on that slide, which that can be really neat. Now, you're not going to come in and give a whole big long speech. These are very short little blurbs to do. Now, one of the things that I would suggest to use if you're doing a voiceover, let me just pull this up, is that with your Apple phone at least, and you can buy your earbuds and microphone, well, these are pretty neat. Uh, your earbuds today aren't just to stick in your ear to listen to the music or listen to the sound as you have here, but you're going to have a little microphone. And this is really neat. If you think about you're out in an area, you can plug in the earbuds to your iPhone or to your iPad. And now when you're launching Adobe Spark Video, now I have a microphone built in right here, and I can record that. It's going to be very clear, more clear than just talking into the device. Sometimes that wind noise and things like that. So if you have this, it's a great tool to use with that microphone. If not, you can pick up some earbuds for very little money. You can spend a whole lot or very little. We were using these at our workshop that we did, and everyone found that to be quite helpful and useful. Another thing that we have on this screen that I think gets overlooked, especially the first time around, if we look at the little button that's on the right-hand side of the screen, it's just a little dot, and as a default, it's going to have 2X in it. Well, that is the length of how long that slide is going to appear on the screen. So if you tap on that, it's going to be a slider scale, and you can change it from 1 up to 10 seconds. And we're thinking, well, 10 seconds isn't a long time to have something on the screen. But remember our goldfish story. You know, we don't have a long attention span. So showing things on the screen short and fast and snappy. If people didn't get it, they press the rewind button and they watch it again. It's easy. So being able to adjust the length of your slide, 2 seconds, that will be your default, and then you can change it. You also are going to have a play preview button that's going to be over on the left-hand side of the screen down at the bottom. You can tap that anytime and it will give you a immediate preview of what you have created and developed so far. Over on the right side of the screen, there's going to be a plus button, and that's where you can come in and add a new slide. Real easy. And if you want to reorder any of your slides, you don't have to put them in a linear order, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, oh, well, I'd really like to have this slide before that. You can come in and you can click and drag or tap and hold, depending on what type of device you're using, and you can reorder any of those slides. So again, it's a very user-friendly interface that we have here. Very intuitive, all based on the Apple concept. Now, if we look back up at the top of the screen and we tap on the layout again, we're still at the same screen. I want to talk about the layout and how there's 4 different screens that you can pick from. Now, 4, that's not a lot. But again, this is a very simple, condensed version of doing a video. We don't want to have a whole lot of choices. The program would get so big. This is not Final Cut Pro that marketing and communications is doing. You know, this is a real simple video editing program. So with that layout tapped up at the top of the screen, you're going to see that you have those four layouts. It's the full screen and a thing, one thing, a thing and a caption, or two things. Those are going to be your choices. Now, a thing or an item, that's referring to either a video, text that you're going to insert, a photo that's on your device, on your computer, or an icon. And think of an icon like clip art. So if we just think of it that way, you'll notice that those layouts, they're a little bit different. And so you've got some variety of how to help convey your message and information in this visual format. The second uh, item up at the top of the screen we'll look at is called the themes. And the themes is really the look and the feel of the video that you're doing. There are 32 different selections that you can pick from. That's going to select the background and the transitions for the video. Now, one thing that's nice about these themes is that you could create all of these different items. You could have a number of different slides, and then it's like, that theme just isn't working for me, the transitions and all that. So you can come back to this and tap it, and it's not going to alter or mess up any of the slides that you've created. It will just apply those changes to it. So it's a quick and easy way. Well, how does it look in geometric versus signal? Okay, I just tap on it, I click the preview, and I'll get that. Now, one of the things that you can do about the themes is that you can customize these. Well, I like it, but there's a couple of things that it would really be nice to change. So if you come in and tap on that customized theme that you see that's right under it, that will come up and it's going to be two different selections. And I have put these side by side. So if you look at this screen, and you just think about it divided in half there. My line's not really straight, but that gives you the idea. On the left side of the screen, I have a screenshot of what it's going to look like if you have selected the colors. And when you tap on colors, then you can look at what the background color is going to be, the icons, the main text, and the secondary text. So this is where you would change those top items at. So if it's coming up and it's white, but we need it to be black, we can tap on that and make that change. So it makes it really easy to do that. Then if you tapped on the fonts side of that button, which I have here, that's going to show you the different fonts for text that you have. So once you pick these out, you can then, it's like, well, I'd rather have a different kind of font. And so again, tapping on each of those would give you that change, and you have not a huge variety, but you've got enough, I think, to pick from to make some unique changes and differences to it. And we'll advance to that slide. Okay. The last tab, looking up at the top, is the music tab. There are 37 royalty-free music selections that you can pick from. You can tap on one of them and there's a little play button, and it will give you a, it'll play the song so you can get a preview of it, see what you like. You can upload music from your iPad or iPhone or from the computer up to this, but here's the warning. You should never use copyrighted music on something like this. As an educational unit, we have been given in the past a little bit more freedom about that, but those days seem to be getting smaller and smaller. And we, as an educational unit, need to be very conscious of this and set a good example that, we're not going to use copyrighted music. The other thing about it, if you think about videos that you see on Facebook, how many videos actually have the sound or the music played on them? Usually people scroll through the feed, the video will start playing. If it catches their interest, they'll look at it. If it really catches their interest, they'll tap or click on it and open it up and actually play the sound or the music. So it gets to the point sometimes, well, how important is it to have music? Again, depending on the venue of where you're going to listen and view this. But I strongly encourage you, there's 37 to pick from. I think if you start to use this like I have, you'll find out that there's a few that are sort of your go-to. They're the ones that you feel like tell your story the best. Some of them probably aren't going to apply. So again, experiment, play around with those, see what you think. So let's talk about the video files. As you create these video files, one thing, they can be downloaded. And if you're doing it on a mobile device, you can download them to that device, or you can download and then you can email, send a message. There's different ways to do that. We can look at that when we're exploring the iPad. But I will tell you from personal experience, a lot of times you will end up having to download the video and then you'll have to re-upload it to get it into the social media feeds. There is a connection to where you can come in and you can connect Facebook and Twitter directly to Adobe Spark. Well, that's nice and easy, but I will warn you is that if you're doing that and you're putting it on your personal page, especially with Facebook, it's probably going to work okay. But if you're using Facebook and you have your personal page, which you have to do that, but then you're also the manager of another page, i.e. your county Facebook page, it's not going to be really easy a lot of times to take it directly from that device and move it straight up into the feed of these other managed pages. Again, it's just a little quirky about how all of the software works. So if you're going to post this on your Hamilton County page, Marilyn may want to create the video and then set it up as a download. And then she would actually go log into Facebook and switch over to the Hamilton County page and then create the post and upload the video that way. Experience has shown me that works a little bit better than trying to get Adobe Spark to do it all together. Again, it's just how the software and the programs work. That could change very easily with an update or anything. So it's something to keep our eye on, but realize it may not be the easiest or the quickest way to do that. Let me stop right here for a moment and see, does anybody have any questions? I've gone through that a little bit fast, but wanted to make sure that we sort of did just a general overview of it. Nothing, uh, you know, particular, any specifics about things, but to give you a comfortable overview of what Adobe Spark looks like, some of the things that are on there. So any questions, you can use the chat box or you can unmute your microphone. Okay. Again, if you have anything, just please just stop me and we can answer those. Now, what I would like to do next is change the subject just a little bit, but I want to talk about video in general. And Adobe Spark's a little bit special because it can take still images and make it into video, but it also can do the actual import some video into your movie too. But this is just general photography and video topics and tips that I think that can be extremely useful. If we keep these 12 things in mind, I think you'll see a drastic improvement in any type of video that you're creating, whether it's for work, social media, just something fun for your family. The first thing that you need to look at is that you need to have a plan. And what do you want to convey in your video? You know, creating a video for the sake of creating a video is probably not a really good plan, but it's asking yourself, what is it that you really want to convey and what you want to do? And that leads us to our second point is, what is your take-home message? That's a phrase that's used a lot of times, is that what do you want people to take home after they have watched this video? Or what do you want people to take home after they participated in this program? Which again follows into point number 3, is what is the call to action? Putting information out for people is great, but we really need to direct and tell people what they need to do. And we in Extension, we're having this great program, and we're talking about food safety. So what do we want them to do? We need to tell them what to do within that call to action. If we're creating a short video about promoting junior 4-H camp, well, we can show them the slide, and we can show them having tug of war and different aspects of camp. But what do we want them to do? Well, we want them to sign up for camp, don't we? So we need to tell them what to do. We need to be direct. And then finally, in your plan, is that I would really suggest coming in and having a storyboard. You need to have somehow to map out what you're going to do in this video. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go get a whiteboard or big sheet of paper or whatever, and you need to draw out and write out every word. Now, that's what you may need to do, but that's probably not going to work for everybody. But just going willy-nilly and trying to create this probably isn't going to work real well either. It's going to show up in your final product. So taking a sheet of paper, and it may be drawing stick figures out if you need to, but saying, I need to cover 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of points, and I'm going to have to do this within 15 to 30 seconds. It could also come in and just take a paper napkin and write on the back of it and sketch out a couple of your ideas. Hey, any of those work, but having that plan of what you want to do with your video, knowing what you want to convey, what is the take-home message, what is that call to action, what do you want the viewers to do, and making a plan and having that storyboard. Those 4 things are really important. And if you have all that and have it ready to go and do just a little bit of planning on the front end, it's going to make creating your video a lot easier and simpler. So that leads me to 12 easy steps to make better video. And I'm taking all of this from the book by Steve Stockman. It's entitled How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. We used this book in our workshop training and talking about some things that we can do as we are creating the actual raw videos, making those photos that we're going to use in here. How can we do a better job with that? And step number 1 is to think of creating your video in shots. And that's what I spoke about earlier is look at local news, look at commercials, look at the national news and programs. How do they create things? It's not just one continuous shot where I've turned the camera on and then I pan it across the screen. And you're like, oh, well, that's boring, and yawn. And it's like, ugh, not really good. You want to think in uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up, maybe to 10 seconds kind of shots to where we're focusing in on something, and then we keep changing it and changing it. The second thing is don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes. What we mean here is that you need to get in close. If we're doing archery contest, is being able to come in close and get that nice photo of the child pulling the bow back, ready to shoot. It could be they're cooking. Well, instead of just standing in the back of the room and making a photograph, well, here's all these people in here, but I'm not close enough. I can't see what they're doing. Don't know why they're there. It's just a big group of people. Well, great, fine. That's so exciting, isn't it? Well, coming back into it and focusing and having that attention, what are they doing? It may be getting in tight and you're watching them mix something up or make something. Number 4 is keeping those shots under 10 seconds and then stitching those shots together so we can shoot those. And again, they don't have to be in order of 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll let Adobe Spark help us with that, and we can rearrange things. But thinking about short clips if we're actually shooting the video, or if we're going to have those still photos on the screen, it's not just one photo that we leave up for 30 seconds, but we keep flipping the image to keep the attention level high. Number 4 is zooming with your feet. This is where sometimes we may make people uncomfortable, but we need to come in and don't rely on the zoom that you have on your camera. You'll have that little slider bar down at the bottom to where you can zoom in and out. Well, that's that digital zoom, and what's going to happen is that the final product, it's not going to be as sharp and as clear as you really want it to be. So if you're, and this applies on any type of camera, you want to use your feet as much as you can and to come in close. No, I don't need to be 2 inches from someone's face. I'm not saying that close, but we need to come in and we need to crop out and edit all of this other stuff in the images that we don't need. So use your feet, walk it up forward, get in close. Stand still, stop fidgeting, no zooming during the shots. Have we seen people that have taken video and you sort of get car sick by looking at it? They're just all over the place. So one of the tips that I use to this day, and this is back from the days I was in 4-H and doing photography, is that you really want to take your stance. And that may be standing still first, spread out your feet a little bit to where you've got a comfortable stance. Take your elbows and tuck them into your body. And then you've got your device, your phone, your iPad, your camera, whatever, and you can steady those shots. That's whether you're taking a still shot or even doing video. If you're doing video, a tripod's going to be your best friend right there. You can get an inexpensive tripod, and you can get a very inexpensive holder for your iPad or iPhone, Android phone. Any of those works out really well. Amazon's a great place to go look for any of that. But having it still, having it steady makes a huge difference of what you're doing. Keeping the light behind you. What we mean here is that you're not shooting into the shadows. We're not doing witness protection program work here. You know, if you're shooting someone's face, we need to be able to see the face. It needs to be lit to where we can see that. If the light uh, is not correct, you're not going to be able to see that. Now, having the light to where, it's in people's eyes and face, you get the washout, you get the squints and all of that. Some of the best weather to come out and to shoot video and still photography is when it's a nice overcast day. The lighting is already filtered out. It's going to be a lot better. But, I know we can't always control that, but, if you can't see what you're trying to shoot, we need to look at it from a different way and a different angle. If your camera, phone, iPad, whatever has all of these digital effects turned on, turn them off. Sometimes they're there and they would work really well. If you're trying to tell something from the past, you can turn on that sepia filter that's that, old time tinny black and white-ish type photo. That might be appropriate. But for the majority of things that we're doing, all of those digital effects and things take away from the story and the message that we're giving. Focus on what interests you and what really interests you. Again, it's those big wide open shots. Well, what does that tell us? It's just a big bunch of people, or it's a big field or whatever. But to come in close and focusing in on something will show and tell a much better story to the viewer than just having those big things. So again, what is the interest and what is the focus? And let's go in on that. Number 9 is using these cutesy, amateurish titles. We're trying to be professional here. Now, there are cases to where that's appropriate, but in most of the time, sort of avoid that. And that gets into those cartoonish fonts and things. May work out real well in some cases, but at other times, probably not. So we'll try to avoid those. Keeping the video short, that's the theme of today. Starting with our goldfish and going through everything that we've done. Having videos that are those short, to the point. We want to redirect and draw the interest to people and to say, hey, I'm really interested about that. I need to call the extension office to find out more about that. That comes back into that call of action and what do you want people to do? But short, we're not telling them everything that we know about beef cattle production in this video. We want to draw their attention. It's like, oh, I'd like to learn more about that. This is how I can do it. Using that external microphone, if you're doing any of the voiceover, you're trying to record any of that, there's a number of external microphones that you can get to put on iPads and iPhones. If you're doing the voiceover, again, the earbuds with the little microphone, this is a great tool that you can use. But if you're going to use any of that audio, is that we want to make sure the audio is clear. It doesn't have a bunch of clips, beeps, buzzes, anything like that in it. If it's not clear, then we don't need to use it. And then the last point that we want to talk about is that we're going to take a quality pledge, and we want to think about what are we doing, what are we creating, and we're going to make a quality video for the audience at the same time as how to get your point across. Again, the take-home message. And we're not going to make anyone watch anything so crappy looking that you wouldn't even watch it voluntarily if somebody handed it to you. We're not going to make poor quality video. I think we've got enough steps and tips here that we can quickly and easily come in and we can make a really neat video about things. So I want to, again, stop just for a moment and bring it back to you and ask you, well, what kind of ideas, as you have listened uh, to me for the last hour, come through? We've done a real quick overview of Adobe Spark, but what kind of ideas do you have for coming in and making a video? And don't everyone talk at once, but you can use your text chat or you can unmute your microphone and talk to me and talk to everybody. You do know what today starts, don't you? Today is the first day of Extension Month. It's our time of the year that we can come in and promote. Cindy would like to come in and look at marketing 4-H camp, which I think that's an awesome idea. We had a discussion on the previous one I did. One of our agents was talking about taking this year and making sure to capture some of these images and things that are going on and in the senior high 4-H program and opportunities. John's talking about advertising programs like Master Beef, the Grain Conference. I think that's a great idea. And especially you sort of plan for this in time. If it's a continuing type program, you've got the opportunity to come in, make some, short little snippets of video, make some of those good quality photographs that you can use to advertise the program for the next time that you're doing it. And again, all of this takes a little planning. I know that we've got so many things going on at times, we sort of forget about that. But to think about, what are we doing? Just from Extension Month, being able to, and it's not talk about, well, this is everything that Extension does, because you can't do that in just a few seconds. But if we look at our tagline that we have for the Institute, that we provide real life solutions. If you came in and sort of took that, you could build upon that. We provide real life solutions in agriculture. We provide real life solutions in 4-H youth development. We provide real life solution in family and consumer sciences. And thinking about, well, how could we work this message around and have some ideas of things to do? Lots of programs and lots of things that we do within Extension, and people don't know about it. So can we use this to develop, a different type of communication method to maybe reach a different kind of audience? Any other comments, questions, ideas, anything that you'd like to share right now? Okay, let me come in and I'm going to pull out of the PowerPoint presentation, get it out of my way. And what I'm going to do is come in with Adobe Spark on the iPad. I just need to share my screen. Okay, I think we've got it. Screen mirror. All right, I think you've got that there. Excellent, I see that. Now, I'm using my iPad today. I like it because it's got a bigger screen on it. I'll just be honest with you. I need a little bit more room to maneuver with. I'm going to come into Adobe Spark and I'm going to show it. It's going to look basically the same on an iPad or the same on an iPhone. The screen will just be smaller. So let me go through that, and then I'll turn this back around and we'll look at it from a PC or a Mac point of view, desktop, laptop. Very similar, but again, a few little changes. So I need to launch the Adobe Spark Video app, and that's going to be my little yellow and black icon down here at the bottom. And when I tap on it, I see, oh, they want you to log in with Facebook or Google or sign up for free. As I told you before, I would ask you not to do that. You're going to have a better experience if you do this, logging in with your UT credentials. So if you look down at the bottom of the screen, there's like already have an Adobe ID, log in. And if you'll tap that, and then in the sign-in address, if you'll put at tennessee.edu, and just either tap on sign in or tap go, that's going to redirect you to the UT login screen. Okay, at this point, you're going to put in your net ID, and then you're going to put in your net ID password. And I need to do one thing just for a second, because I'd rather not put my password on the screen for everyone to see. I was at a national meeting and some guy did this, and he just sort of freaked out. And it's like, oh, well, when you have a iOS device, that's real easy to do. So if you go in and put your credentials in, and I'll mirror right back up to you, you're going to log into your Adobe account. And I'm in Adobe Spark Video, and these are the videos that I have created. Now, I personally have not created all of these. This is when I was sharing my account and doing the workshops. So it was sort of fun as I got a copy of some of the things that other people got to do. And it was nice to see that sort of take back home and create. Down at the bottom, you're going to see that you have the little places where you can tap for inspiration, my videos, and then I have the plus sign. So I'm going to click the red plus. That screen is going to change, and then it's saying, well, you can either tap there and give it a name. I'm going to click or tap, skip this, and I'm going to start from scratch. This brings us up that screen that we looked through on the PowerPoint. So I have up at the top, I can tap on layout, and I have my full screen, the split screen, and the caption, and the title and text. So I can pick any of those. I'm going to select full screen just to start with. And it's going to say, well, what do I want to add? I can either add a video or a photo. Let me start with photo, and we'll move through that first, and then I'll get into the video and how that works. A little bit of a difference there. When I tap on photo, you're going to see with a iOS device, I've got some options up at the top of the screen. I can find photos by searching. Typically, you're going to have photos to where you have had them, and they're actually stored on your iPad or your iPhone. You also have an option to take a photo. So if I have my device and I have this open, I can click on take photo. I'm going to spin around the room a little bit here, and I'm going to take that photo. I think I've captured it. Down at the bottom, I can either retake it or I can use it. I'm going to use it. I'm okay with it. And it's going to put that photo in. Now I can click the plus, and I can say, well, I can add some text here. And I'm going to put welcome to Spark. Click done, and I've got that. If I want just a quick preview of what this one slide looks like, If you look right below the slide, there's a little play button. I can click that and it will just play that slide. One slide, not the whole slideshow. In the center of the screen, you've got the red microphone button, and I can press and hold that, and I can record whatever, and it's typically voiceover right here on top of that slide. That might be something you want to wait and do at the end, but again, you can do it at any time, and you can delete that from the slide too. On the right-hand side, I talked about that 2 with the X on it, that little button that shows you the length of how long the slide's going to play. As a default, it's going to be 2 seconds. I can come in and I can just slide that little bar over, and I'm going to make this one 5 seconds. So, okay, I'm good with that. So I want to add a new slide. Well, look down at the bottom on the right, there's a big plus sign. I'm going to tap it, and I come up with a new slide. Again, clicking on the layout up at the top is going to allow us to select what we want the screen to look like. I'm going to do this as a split screen. I'm going to bring in another photo, and this time I'm going to pull it from my iPad. And then we can pull, where is that going to be from? Most of the time it would be from your camera roll, and then that's where we just have to slide over and we have to find the images. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of stuff loaded on here. There's a real nice image of the lake right there. And then I see over on the other side of the screen, it's a split screen. It's what I picked. So I've got a plus sign over there. I can then add another photo, or maybe I want to add some text. I need to do a shift and get that. So I've got that in. And then I can come in and I'm going to add another slide, select my layout. I'm going to make this full screen too, because here I want to add a video. If you have shot video on your mobile device, it's going to be there. And then you can find it. And here is Dr. Carter. So that video is 8 minutes and 38 seconds long. Adobe Spark is not going to let us put an 8-minute video in, but it will allow you to put up to 10 seconds of a video clip into your project. So what you look at the bottom is that there's those little buttons. If I slide, or I said 10, I'm sorry, it's 30 seconds. Excuse me for that. The slides are 10 seconds each, how the pictures will go, but you can have up to a 30-second video clip. Well, 30 seconds of a longer clip, what you can do is then move that and see, well, where do you want those 10 seconds to be? So you would find that, and then you can tap the play, and it would actually play that particular part of the video. So I don't have to make it 10 seconds. I can make it less than that. But again, I can adjust less than 30. I'm stuck on 10 for some reason. It's those slides. I can take that back down, and I'll say I want to squeeze it in, and I'm going to have almost 3 minutes of that. I could show that. So again, letting you be able to come in and edit, and you can pull in the video. Saves the video clip, brings it in. Now, while I'm here talking about this, and again, I'm using the iPad, I told you I would explain to you how you could use an Android device to do something very similar. Well, with your Android device, you can still take your photos, you can still take your videos. What you're going to do with those is that you're going to save those, then you're going to connect your device to your computer, and you're going to transfer those photos and videos to your computer, and then you'll use the web browser version of Adobe Spark to do the same thing. So that'll allow you to do it. So yes, I've got a mobile device. It's small, lightweight. I can come in and I can carry that around and I can capture these type things. I just can't finish the project on this device. I'm going to have to take it to my computer. So again, it's that extra step, but it is doable. At this time, I'm going to say, well, I'd really like to see what my video is going to look like. So I can come down to the bottom of the screen and I have a play button, and it's going to play Adobe Spark based on that theme and things that I've used. And it's how long the, again, you've got to adjust each one of those videos. So if I go back and I showed that split screen, it was 2 seconds. I want to make it a little bit longer. And again, make sure that the video clip, I have really shortened it up. You know, I could change that. So I've sort of looked at my layout. Let's come in and look at themes. The themes are going to be how it controls really the transition and some of the colors. So the first thing to do is really just picking a different theme, and it will change your font too. And it's like, well, what does that one going to look like? Well, let's look at Sage. You want to see what it looks like? Tap it up at the top, down at the bottom, click on the play button. And we see that the font changed. That transition of how it went from slide to slide, it's changed too. And my video, I probably need to take that out and probably redo it again. If there's any of the slides down at the bottom, it's like, oh, I just sort of goofed up. I can tap on it down at the bottom, and you see that you have a delete, a duplicate, and a preview from here. I can just delete that slide, click the X, and it got rid of it. So I could then come back in, I could create a new slide in its place and fix all of that. So if I did that and say it's a video again, uh-oh, we got a boo-boo right there. Let's make sure it's full screen video. It may not like our video right now. Doesn't like it right now, but we could pick, there's a 3-second one. It's just not liking video for the moment. That's okay. We saw what was going on. Let me come back in. I see that it stopped the mirror. I'll get you right back to where we are. Okay. So we looked at themes and how we can come in and edit and change that. Also looking at the music, you can upload and bring things in from your iPad, but you've got a lot of music. There's an old country accordion. You've got a number of different things. And as you select and tap on each of those, it's going to give you a preview of it. So again, pretty quick and easy to do that. The last couple of things I'll show you on here is that when you have your project and you're done, if you look at the upper right-hand side of the screen, there's a little square with an arrow that points up. If you tap on that, that's going to give you the options of what to do with your project. You can save that to your camera roll. You can post it to Facebook, Twitter, send it in an email if you have the email on your iPad, send it in a iMessage, or you can copy the link to the clipboard. It's saving your project, again, if you're connected to the internet, as you do it on the iPad. So if you start the project here on your phone or your iPad and you log on to the computer using the same account name, that's going to transfer to it. Again, assuming that the device is connected to the internet when you're doing that. So it allows you maybe to start on device 1, but to finish on device 2. The other thing, while we're at the screen before we leave, there's a home icon up at the top left of the screen that takes you back to the home screen. That's that page where you have your inspirations, the My Videos, and the red plus to start a new one. But if you look, there's a gear icon up at the top of that too. If you look at the first option, View Tutorial, that is that second movie that we showed that was showing how to do all the things in Adobe Spark. So you can view that at any time. It's going to have your account information. So I can tap on that and I can sign out of the account. And again, if you're sharing it, maybe that's what you want to do too. And add some other options on there that you can look at. So are there any questions about looking at this from the iPad point of view? Okay. And I lost, okay, I just lost one of my screens for a second. Make sure I've got the chat screen. Now, what I'd like to do is to end this, I'm going to open up Adobe Spark on my computer through a web browser. It doesn't matter what web browser you use. They all seem to work very well. I'm going to be using Chrome today. If I can type spark.adobe.com, and I will share my screen for the last time today. There it is. A few things on the screen. You get to where you have a lot going on and then you can't see it all. So when I come in and I look at this, I have my screen to where I have Adobe Spark there. I just went to spark.adobe.com. And then from there, same thing that you would want to do if you're using the iOS version of it, is that you want to log on. And then from the log on, just put at tennessee.edu, press enter, wait for the redirect. The redirect's going to come up, sign you into the UT version of it. That is a premium version that we're getting of Adobe Spark, which is really cool. Wait for that. It's going to come up. You'll notice up at the top of the screen, you've got that, it's a blue plus sign instead of red. Down at the bottom of the screen, you've got, here's the examples of the files that I've been creating. And there's the one I just created moments ago. I can click on it and edit, and I could continue to work on it. I'm going to click on the blue plus sign up at the top. And this is where, when you're working with it on the web, you see you have an option to create a post, a page, or a video. Again, I've been talking about video today. I'm not, you feel free to look and explore the post and the page. Some of the producers that we worked with was talking about they've been using post quite a bit too, found that real easy to use. When you're looking at it from an iOS device, post, page, and video, each of those are a different app. So if you wanted to use those, you would have to download each one of those apps. Again, today we're talking just about video. Same type of screen comes up. It's like we're trying to help you, give us a title, and we'll go through all of this. I'm going to say skip and start from scratch. Give it a second, needs a moment to load, giving you some inspiration there on the screen. Here is that tutorial video. So what the second video that I showed, if you wanted to look at it again, you can click on that play button and you would get it, be ready to go. I'm going to say, good, I'm ready. So same thing, the buttons are just in a slightly different format. Your preview, share, and download are going to be up at the top of the screen. Over on the right of the screen, you see where you have the music, theme, and layout. Same thing that we had under the iOS version of it. You have your red voiceover button. You've got it down here. You've got your preview down at the bottom on the left. The slides are going to be in order. I can come in and I can pick a photo. Maybe. There it comes. And then what's a little bit different about this is where it's going to grab those photos at. So I would say 90+% of the time, you're going to end up clicking on upload photo, and then you're going to the location of where that photo is on your computer. Open it. There it went. I was being a little impatient. And then that drops the photo into it. So you upload it into it. Same thing, you've got that little round button. How long do you want to make it? I could come in, I could then click on the plus sign right here, and I could add some text to it. I click out of it. And again, it just overlaid that on there. I can look at theme. I have those same themes. I can click on it. Give it a second. It's going to change the font, the default font of it, and the transitions. Again, I just click plus to add something else. March is extension month. We're going to make that 4 seconds. We'll add another one. And again, it's fairly quick to do this. I can change my layout again. Add a video. Again, upload that again. It uploads the photo. That's not a real good quality photo there. Fun for everyone. And then I would click my big preview button down at the bottom, and it's going to play that out. And you notice a lot of the it's adding that motion to those still photographs. So again, taking a project that you start in one place, you can finish it up in the other. So extremely similar whether you do an Apple device or whether you do the web. It's all basically the same. Are there any questions that you have? I want to make sure that if there's any questions, comments, things that you have, that we take care of that before we leave today. Okay, you've got your handout. If anyone did not get a copy of the handout material, if you will just drop me an email, I'll take care of that and send it to you. And a little bit later today, I will send you a very short evaluation that it would mean a lot to me if you would go ahead and fill that out. Uh, Gives me some feedback on how we've done today and what we need to be doing for the future. I appreciate your time this morning. It's great, even though we're not physically together, it's great to spend time and see everyone online. If you have any questions, run into any problems about using Adobe Spark, feel free to drop me an email, send me a line, and we would be glad to work on that. I'm looking forward to seeing some great videos, I hope, in the very near future. If you do post any of those videos on social media, make sure to let me know. I'd really like to look at those. I think it's great when we start to share the things that we're doing with each other in Extension. It helps us have better ideas of what to do. All right. Well, I again appreciate your time this morning. Anything that you have issue with, please just give me a call, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the movies. Thanks.